Okay, let's talk about the M28. First of all, the M28, when you are using it together with the 7E module, is just a stupid display. If you're diving to 100 meter or wherever you're diving, you can just use the paddle display. It's the same thing. The only thing that you have is that when you are bailing out, when you have an M28, you have the possibility of changing the gases for the decode that you are doing on OC. You also have the compass, of course, and then you have the settings, of course. So when you connect it to a 7, you don't need to use the refap. You can just use the computer to change gases and so on. But if you're not diving trimix, you don't need to change any settings in the 7E module more than once a year or maybe every second year. Because the tank size is the same, the gases is the same, and everything is just the same. So that is the background of the M28. The M28 has some history where we have the M28A, and this one is the M28B. B means that you have two holes here for the pressure sensor. If you have an A model, there is two shiny nuts here, or bolts, on the side of the hole. I think it's only one hole, or maybe not. No, there is two shiny bolts here, and then you have an A model. And that means that you need to send it in for Poseidon so they can change the box or the housing for the M28 to make it a B, because this will leak over time. Then we have the buttons. The button has a long history of different molding and different productions of the buttons. So the buttons, they can sometimes get stuck during a dive because there is a small magnet inside here, inside the button, and that one will rust over time. Then you get contamination that will get stuck inside this cavity inside here, and occasionally, not so very often, but then you can have a button that gets stuck underwater. It's not the end of the world. You bail out, you just go to the surface, or you just continue diving because the brain is still in here, and this is just a stupid display. So, of course, you cannot change the center, you cannot change the gases, but just go to the surface and get some new buttons. And if you're replacing the buttons by yourself, you need to get a real screwdriver, not an Allen key with a round button. Forget about that. You can get a small Allen key screwdriver like this, and that is preferable. I will come to that later, but it's preferable actually. I have here a Torx 7 which works, but no, I like the hex key better. This is a 1.5 millimeter, and I unscrew this one. Maybe I use the Torx when I'm mounting the new buttons, but we'll see. So be careful with the screw. Pull out the button, and there is a small spring coming also that you need to be careful about. That spring has a cavity or a hole in the button down here where it sits. So we will come back to that when we are mounting the new button. Here you can see generation 2. And this is not so bad, but we replaced generation 2 because you can see the wear of the plastic here. And this is also some kind of contamination. And if I look at another button that I have replaced just recently, here you can see the shadow. I can zoom in here. Here you see the shadow of the magnet. And this one is rusty, so you get contamination on the top, where you can see that I get, well, I'll clean this a little bit, but you get a lot of contamination with rusty particles coming out from this hole, and then you get that in that cavity for the button, and it gets stuck. So when you take it out, the button, take a brush or something with some water and soap or something and clean this cavity out. And we should now look at generation 4 of the buttons. This is generation 4. You have a shiny glue area where the magnet sits, and generation 4 also have a countersunk, so you can actually see that it's going down like a small pool or pond, or yeah, I'm not sure about the English word, but you can see that it's countersunk a little bit. That is generation 4. That is the buttons I've been using for a year now, and it works. It doesn't rust. It's perfect. So what you do is that you start with the screwdriver. You take this spring and put it down inside the hole at the button. And here you can see that I missed a little bit, so I have to make sure that it falls into place. There it is. Then I take the new button. Make sure that you don't take the old one. I take the new button and I put it here. Now I can see the hole here, and I want to make this a very sturdy, very solid threading of the plastic, because the old button had a thread here with threads. The new button that comes from the company or from the factory is unthreaded. So this has a thread because it's been mounted. This is unthreaded. So I really need to have a sturdy screwdriver. Now I have a Torx 7. I put it in the hole and I push while I'm turning. So I'm actually threading the hole with the screw. And if you're trying to use an Allen key like this, which is round at the bottom, you will not be able to be pushing and threading at the same time. So I like the screwdriver because I can push here at the back. I can make it go around, push it, go around, and make the screw thread the plastic hole. If you fail to do this, you will ruin the button, and the hole inside the button will be ruined. So I take the screw out. We're replacing that one too. So you can have a look again. Here we can see wrong generation, no shiny magnet. This is the new one, shiny magnet. And we have the screw. And don't lose the spring, because the spring can always fly onto the floor or just disappear. We put it inside. There's the trick. Shake it a little bit. Now it's all the way down. Put in the button. The screw on. And as you can see, this screwdriver is a little bit too small, I think, because it's the right size and it's a hex one, but I'm not able to push hard when I'm threading. So that's why I'm using this one. And I should be having a 1.5 mil, but it works with a Torx 7. Find the hole. Center, push, and screw. Be careful. Make sure that you are threading slowly, slowly, slowly. And once it's in there, you can use this one because now it's threaded already. And I just try to tighten it. It's so hard to turn with this small screwdriver, so I actually need to just double check with this one. Double check this one. Done. The buttons will calibrate itself, so you don't need to care about the calibration of the buttons. That is the old school thing with the old software inside the Mac PC. Forget about that one. The buttons will calibrate itself. The thing is, with an old button, if the magnet is 100% as new, this broken one has lost because it's rusty. So maybe this is just like 20%, 15, 20%. And when it comes that low, it gets harder to calibrate. And finally it will just fail and you will not be able to be pushing the buttons and see the results on the screen. So they are self-calibrated. Make sure that you clean the cavity, because as you can see here now, it sticks a little bit. This will probably be okay when I get it into the water and I will push it on the water and stuff, but it's better to clean out the cavity with a little brush and some hot water and soap. You will not get water inside the box on the circuit board level, because this is watertight on the outside. So just use a little toothbrush or something, or just some hot water to make all this contamination that you have on the rusty buttons. You can see here at the top, I saw on one of them, you can actually see on the top here. This is actually, if I do this, you can see this is contamination that comes from the inside of the magnet. You see more here. Here is even more. And over time, this will fail your buttons on the M28. Good. Now we're done with the buttons, and let's talk about the charger. The new charger that is supplied with the M28 looks like this. This is USB-C charger, which also fixed another problem. Another problem was that people were using just an USB charger. This is an iPhone charger, generation 1, 0.5 amps, too small, too less power. This is an iPad or a new iPhone charger, USB-C. There is more power in the USB-C chargers nowadays. And this has some kind of 3-4 amps. It needs to be at least, it said somewhere that it needed to be like more than 1 amp, but I say that at least 2-3 amps. So this one you just push in and it will just start charging. There is a bug inside the system that if you do turn it on before you push in the charger cable, it will charge to 100. If you have it black and you push in this one, it will just start up for charging, and then you will have only 92-93%. It's a bug. They fixed it. There will be a software update soon, or just make sure that the computer is on before you push in the plug. Then we comes to the power consumptions. Everybody's complaining about the battery, or why don't you use a bigger battery? Yeah, let's explain what I've come up to. I've been diving the machine many thousands hours. A friend of mine, Peter, he came up with the settings that we are now using nowadays. So what we are doing now is that we go into settings. Now we go into apps. Because if we scroll down, so this is the top, we can see here, this is where we come. Here you can see the serial number and stuff. And then when we scroll down here, we can see all about the power. We can see that with the settings that I have now on this computer, the computer will be discharged after 4 hours and 5 minutes. And let's see what the settings looks like when they are completely bogus. Here, when you have the settings like this, you will get 3-4 hours out of the M28. You have brightness 100% is when the sun is shining on the beach. When you go down and you are dark and this one gets darker, the brightness, because there's a sensor inside here, the illumination sensor is here. So when this gets darker, you will get 100%. And then you don't dim the screen, because if you're just diving and nothing is happening, why do you want to have it on 100%? So let's set it what we have come up with. I put it on 50%. I know that some bright, if you're living in Dubai or Maldives or where the sun is really strong, maybe you need to have it on 60%, but not 100. I put this one on 35. I put the dim screen, which is like a screensaver, so I put this dim screen on just 10 seconds. Because when I'm looking at it, I look and then I just put it away, and then it will go down. I don't want it to be black, so I put it on 7%. It can go up to 10, but put it on 7%. This means now that on the beach I have 50%. When I go diving, it's 35% because it's dark underwater. You will see it. After 10 seconds, it will just go to 7%. And if there's an alarm or if I'm pushing the buttons, it will just glow up again and be 100, like the settings, 50% of course. But here you can see after 5 seconds, it goes down. There you go. And then I just push a button. Whoops, it lights up. This means that we can now get something around 8 to 10 hours out of the M28. That is the difference between the wrong settings and the correct settings. And this is actually live discharge, so it's actually seeing what I'm doing. So when I change the settings, I can see that the duration is going up a little bit. It takes some minutes before it's adjusted and before it's stable, but you can see now it goes up a little bit, 555. It jumps up and down a little bit. This is not 100% though, so we cannot, here you see 605, I just leave it, and you see just the 7% is just making it go up to 622, so it's saving a lot of energy just on the screensaver that I put on 7%. When I do this, I can easily do 4 or 5 dives with M28, and it's not a problem. If I go below 30%, I will not be able to start the machine. So if you're in a car, you have a battery bank, power bank or something, just put this one in. It will charge the battery like 1% per minute. So if you keep this one in and you have a coffee or a coffee break or a soda or anything, you will get the power up. And that even goes with the charger for the battery for the M20, for the 7. You need to have a special cable, of course, if you're doing the cigarette lighter in the car, but it can actually run, the charger for the 7 can run from 10 volts to 30 volts, I think. So it's actually easy to put power in the batteries between the dives. There is another issue that you should not take out the battery when it's wet and you get salt water on the pins here and so on. But we get to that when we are doing more videos for the future. Now you can see it's almost up to 7 hours because I put the screensaver on and I have it on 50% and 35%. If you don't want it to light up when you're charging it with the charger, some people call me and say that, oh, I'm charging in a hotel room, I cannot sleep. Why is it always on? It's always on because it's a safety feature. If you fall into the water, the computer should turn on like this, so it can save your life. It's the same with the E-module. If you have the battery inside, it will just start up as soon as you hit the water. Do this on a hotel room if you don't like the shiny display, or you go into settings. You go down here, you change 7% to 0, and voila, what happens after 5 seconds? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did I have it on 10? Maybe I had it on 10. There you go. If I now did put it in the charger, it will just go down to 0. It's still awake because you can see it's blinking here, or I can just push a button and it will wake up again. And if I wait 10 seconds, it will just go back to 0. Some people like this when they are diving because they don't want to get disturbed by the lightning for the cameras or whatever. I have them set to 0% when I'm diving, both of my computers, and if something alarm comes off on, it just lights up. If I want to see something, I just push a button and it lights up. So you can put the settings for the screensaver at any level. I find it very convenient to have it on 7% because actually when I'm diving, let's say I'm on 75, 80, 90 meters, it's quite dark. And even if it goes down after 10 seconds to 7%, like so, I am still able to see it underwater without touching the buttons, without consuming any extra power to keep it bright and then go back. So that is a good neat trick to keep the battery in the M28 living a longer time and making more hours in the diving that you are doing. So that's it with the M28. Please get a rubber cover for the M28, and also I can see, I think I have one here. Yeah, let's see here. Here is a rubber cover. Please get these ones and protect your investment, protect your computer. You should also get the display, screen display protection. Is just a film that you glue on, not glue on, it's actually glue on the thing here. Here you can see it's a little bit worn out, but it protects the plastic window that you have on the M28, because when it gets scratched and stuff, it doesn't look that nice. And it's a nice computer. I like it. It's decap inside. It works seamlessly with the 7, and yeah, it's nice to have. And now, since they fixed the buttons and they fixed also we fixed the settings for the power, it is now much nicer and much easier to dive with. Okay, that's all. Take care and see you next time.